Hi, welcome to another Car Conversations with Dr. B, because I'm Dr. B and I'm in my car. Today's conversation is going to be a little more serious than I usually tackle. And it's because of what's going on right now in our country and I guess in the world, but I'm going to focus here on in the United States. So it's about privilege. When I first heard that term, white privilege, it got under my skin, right? Because anybody who knows my story knows that I have risen up above a lot of obstacles, a lot of things that were thrown in my way that didn't feel at all to me like privilege. But then I realized I knew exactly what people meant about white privilege when I thought about a story that I shared with a friend of mine in college, and it went something like this. So I was in college. I was sitting in the dorm room with my friend Dave. Shout out to you. Hi, Dave, if you remember us having this conversation. And Dave was a progressive, the most feminist guy I'd run across by that point. I was all of 17 years old, and he was, or maybe I was 18 and he was 19. And we were having this conversation one night, sitting in the dorm room about the experience of women. And I said, he said, I feel like I understand women. He'd written articles about, the female experience. And I feel like of any guy, he had a finger on the pulse. But I said, okay, so it's about 10 o'clock at night, Friday or Saturday night, I don't remember, weekend night at UMass Amherst. And I said, the dorm can get kind of crazy and wild and loud. If it got too crazy and you needed some quiet to be able to study for one of your exams coming up next week, could you go right now to the library? And he said, well, sure. I said, you could leave right now. Like, we're having this conversation and you could go to the library to study and come back later. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I can't. And he said, why? And I said, because if I went to the library right now, there is a chance, and it wasn't a small infinitesimal chance, it was a fairly big chance. I was going to be approached and or accosted and maybe even raped on my way to or from the library by myself. And two things were going to happen if that happened. One, I was going to be the victim of a violent crime. And two, my judgment was going to be questioned for having taken that risk in the first place. And when he sat with that discomfort for a minute, realizing that I did not have the same freedoms, I had to think through my day in a very different way than he ever could imagine thinking through his, right? It was just, yeah, I'm going to go to the library. And I not only couldn't go, but if I went, I had the fear of not only assault, but blame and shame, right? For being stupid and careless. That's what privilege looks like. It's that invisible line that you can't imagine the experience of someone else until you've walked in their shoes, and you can't because you don't walk through the same experiences with the same impediments and barriers and fears and uncertainties and frustrations and lack of justice and fairness and equality that somebody else does. So I was reading this on social media earlier today on one of my local networks, and this woman was talking similarly how I once thought about privilege of, I'm not privileged, you should see my life. But privilege is invisible. And because it is invisible, it is insidious because we can deny it because it doesn't confront us. So I want you to just sit with the discomfort of that for a minute. And women out there, you can understand, white women, thank you. You can understand privilege by thinking about that experience that white men have. That we have it, we just can't always see it. So with that, my deep message, that is another Car Conversations with Dr. B. Go out and spread love and light because, damn it, we really need it right now. Thank you.